Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today, we are reading the worst comic ever, or one of them. That is the theme for this month. I got this list of what people on Reddit at least thought were the worst comics ever. And this one, I mean, it's already a contentious creator. Some people love Mark Millar. Some people don't. I personally do. I'm a big fan of all of his, or most of his stuff. I mean, every now and then.
All the things we've read on I was going to say all the things we've read on the podcast, I feel like I've enjoyed of his too. So
Yeah. I mean, pretty much everything we've read on the podcast for sure, because that's all stuff I'm like, I want to read this or curate it for us or whatever. But like I've read other stuff, just in general. And I'm like, oh yeah, like all of this, there are some stuff I'm like, it's not my favorite thing ever, but I enjoy it. It's kind of like, to me, he's kind of like not quite as, it's not the same to me as movies, but like Michael Bay makes movies that I know what they're going to be. So like, oh, it's explosions. It'll be fun. I don't have to think too hard. A good time if you want, not all the time. Sometimes I'm like, why is the Ninja Turtles 3 hours long or whatever, but, or like Transformers, but like, I'll watch, Bad Boys or whatever and be fine with that. And, like Mark Millar generally with his comics, I'm like, I have a good time. Is it the most like amazing thing I've ever read? No. Is it, going to speak to my heart and change the way I view the world or comics or whatever? No, but it's a good time. I have fun reading it. So what do you think about him?
yeah, I was going to say overall, I feel like some things of his I really love. Like I Kick-Ass. I've enjoyed all of the series that I read and also watched, as far as the movies. I like the Kingsman stuff. I liked American Jesus was fantastic. Like it took
that
him
one
forever.
Stands out different to me. That one actually feels like there was like a good message that he was trying to get across there. Yeah.
And that makes sense too, because of how long that took him to put, like literally he kept that on his back burner because he was putting his heart and soul, I feel, into that one. And then, like Old Man Logan and Civil War, obviously those are really kind of like Ultimate Fantastic Four. That's all stuff.
Those are all like high concept, or like not high concept, but like concept driven ideas that he just plays out. And if you think about them too hard, they kind of fall apart. But, like Civil War I like Civil War a lot. We read that. I thought it was great. But if you really like think about it, you're like, well, why didn't Tony do this? Or like, why, like you're just like, just go with it. Just don't ask too many questions. It's fun. It's a fun story to read,
It's the difference between having, you sticking to your guns no matter what and not having any gray area, as opposed to like the real world of like, well, there's nuance to everything. And, sometimes in the comic world, it's like, no, like this is the end all. Like Captain America is always, for this, or Iron Man is always going to be for this, so.
Yeah.
I think that's why that Civil War works, is because it's like they are two opposite sides of the coin in that, on that issue. And neither of them are going to Tony is not going to see the gray area at all. Right.
But it's kind of like, it's just like a fun thought experiment. Like, what would these characters do if this happened? And then he plays it out to the best of his ability. That's the most entertaining way possible. Does it always make sense the way everybody acts all the time? No. But I fucking loved it when Punisher started murdering people, even though they were on his team, because they're bad guys. It was like, oh, you're a bad guy. I'm going to murder you. And it's like, oh, that's true. That's true to Punisher, So, I think he's more hit than miss for sure, especially nowadays. I've liked most of his stuff that's coming out currently. And this is something I might have heard of it once or twice. People just saying, oh, this is terrible. It is a book called The Unfunnies that came out from Avatar Press. Avatar is known, at least in the 2000s is where I heard about it. And it was known as like, hey, you're like a famous comic book writer who usually works for the big two. You have a big name established, and you can write anything you want. Like any crazy idea you've had that DC or Marvel or Vertigo or anything won't let you publish, bring it here and you can do whatever you want. No one's looking at it, basically. We're not going to say a goddamn thing. You publish it as is, and hopefully it sells based on your name being on the cover. So that was their model. They had books from Garth Ennis, Grant Morrison, Alan Moore writes for them. Like he still writes for them. So I think they have like zero editorial oversight on anything you do if you have a big name that can sell comics.
Yeah, and you know, the power to him for doing that and making the most of it.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. I mean, I like a lot of them. I think Crossed was a big hit that came out from that, and that's Garth Ennis. Warren Ellis wrote a bunch of series for them. Some of the there was one called Scars. I think that's Warren Ellis. That one was really good. It's like a crime story. So like a lot of the stuff just kind of gets like lost in the ether because Avatar is so small. But I remember when it was kind of like they were just putting out books and it was crazy. They also did a lot of horror books. Like they got a bunch of licenses like Jason and was it Halloween? I don't know. They got some licenses that they started putting books out, and I was like, ooh, that's fun. So we may have read some of those actually for the Jason one we did, like the 13 books of Halloween or whatever when we were going through.
Oh yeah,
okay,
that's cool.
Wildstorm, but maybe I think the Jason X versus Jason one. I think that was Avatar.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised then. You know, we probably haven't gone across a couple.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really say it at the time because we were just rushing through all those comics. But yeah, like they have some specialty ones there too, like that were licensed stuff. But like we said, this is written by Mark Millar, who's usually like really big on, you know, action, really action heavy, really like entertaining story heavy. This is, I don't know, the opposite of that. John and I had different opinions on this book. I, being a fan of the movie Meet the Feebles, which is basically like, what if the Muppets were super fucked up and they had their own like show and stuff, and what would that look like? This is like that. This is like, what if the Hanna-Barbera cartoons were in a comic and they are super fucked up. Like everything about their lives is really fucked up. So this is one of the most offensive comics I don't know, see someone buying on accident with the name Mark Millar attached, you know, like, ooh, Mark Millar, I like Wanted and Civil War and such books, you know. And also this came out during Mark's run in Marvel. So I think at this time when this book was coming out, you had, at least he was writing for sure, I know, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Fantastic Four, The Ultimates, and was about to do, and I think Civil War started coming out at the end of this series. So yeah, like he was about to do Civil War or was coming out at the very end of this book coming out. So
this comic is on the end of the shelf where all of those
yeah, right? That's crazy. It's prime Mark Millar. So like, can you imagine like you're like, oh, I really like Mark Millar's stuff. And then you see, you know, in the adult section or whatever, Mark Millar's The Unfunnies. And then you pick it up and you're like, what the fuck is this? That makes me laugh. That makes me laugh hard. And I hope that's kind of why he did it a little bit too. You know, you gotta go crazy sometimes and try things out. And I'm not saying this was the best book ever or something, but it made me laugh quite a bit. I was surprised. I don't really laugh at comics, but this had such crazy moments in it that I couldn't help but laugh. So, yeah, the first issue of this book starts off with a nice family of crows, and they're sitting on a couch. Specifically, the dad's name is Mo the Crow, and, you know, his wife is named Betty, right?
Yeah, Birdseed Bet, which is weird that she has like a mob name. But anyway.
Yeah. And they're sitting on the couch watching TV, and he's talking to the audience, being like, or the reader being like, boy, this is a perfect night. Spaghetti and meatballs for dinner, our favorite show on the TV. Could it get any sweeter? And then the doorbell rings, and he goes to answer it, and it's the police. And they're like, hey, this is the FBI. We're here to we're here because, someone at this address downloaded a bunch of child pornography, and there's a pedophile ring and all this stuff. And the dad seems very surprised by this, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. But then as the cops look through his stuff, they find, they take his computer and whatnot, but they find a bunch of VHS tapes, and they're labeled Little Boys Big Toys. And yeah, it's basically, yes, he is a distributor slash a user or whatever
of
CP. And I'm gonna call it that for the rest of the time because it's I don't want to say that all the time. So
no, I know. Yeah.
And so like he gets arrested, he immediately gets in trouble. I mean, he goes to we just cut to him being in court for trial, and he definitely gets guilty. And there's a bunch more evidence that they bring up of him and everything he got up into with this. And it was basically, I can't remember, did he actually do anything to actual people, or was it just...
Yeah, I don't think it was any to actual people. I think it was just...
Yeah, he wasn't, himself wasn't, but it was all online images, things like that. And he's like, it's not my fault. I got involved with it from this guy. I can't remember what the dude's name was.
Troy Hicks.
Troy Hicks. So, well, no, wasn't there a different name that he was using?
No, I think he just said Troy at first.
Oh, okay, there you go. So he gets sentenced to 20 years in prison for that. Then we cut to a few weeks later. The mom is like, what am I going to do? The bills are piling up. We see the Penguin postman is coming, and he's like, wow, it looks like your life's pretty messed up with all these like final notice bills, and people have spray painted on their house like burn in hell, die, pervert, fuck, because he's a pedophile or whatever, right? Or he's like a child or a CP person or whatever. So, but she's not, and it's her house. And she's like, oh, what am I going to do? So, and even like her car is getting repoed and whatnot. So she goes to like a therapist, right? And she's like, is there anything you can do? And he's like, I don't know, maybe some Prozac, but that's not going to really fix anything. And this was like the first thing I was like, is this like a hidden message? Like, I don't know. I know that Mark Millar is Catholic, but I don't know exactly his views on certain topics. So I wasn't sure if I could see someone who thinks they know a lot about Mark Millar and what he thinks about politics or certain topics, that they would be like, oh, he's telling us that medicine doesn't do anything, like specifically psychiatric medicine. And so like, cause the guy says like, oh, it doesn't really, work that great. Like the medicine I would give you. So, you might as well just try to like do the best you can. Just keep applying it for jobs and see what can happen. So yeah, I don't know if did you feel that at all when he was talking, like the people would talk about psychiatric stuff? Cause it comes up a couple different times.
No, I didn't. I guess I didn't really read as deep into it. I was still, to be honest,
I'm not actually reading into it. I'm just saying I think other people could read into it. I think this was just him being as transgressive as possible. But
sure, I think I just was meaning that I think I, more than you, was more still just shocked by everything going on because unlike man, and as much as I love the weird kind of stories out there, I have not seen Meet the Feebles, though I love like the Muppets and I love like fucked up humor. And I've seen other things that are like in that same vein. Like there was one with Melissa McCarthy a couple years ago, Happy Time Murders, and
like Happy Tree Friends, like that was
yeah. Exactly. And I've seen things like that. I haven't seen, I guess, to the level of some of the really messed up ones, but I don't know. But I just wasn't, I don't know. I was taken aback by it, and I was put off at first very much. I was like, oh, this is super edgelordy. And I'm like, as it goes along, like, I think some of the story like connects a little better. And like, I think I get where he starts going with things, but I was definitely put off at first.
Yeah, this first issue just throws you in the deep end. So, I mean, like from the point where she's like, I'm trying to find a job and I can't. And then her landlord is evicting her. And she's like, is there anything I can do? And I knew where this was going. He's like, oh yeah, you can like give me a hand job and don't worry about rent this week. And in fact, if you do it every week, you don't have to do anything. And in fact, if you do it twice a week, I'll give you money. So she starts doing that for money and to pay the rent. And it's going okay for a while. She visits her crow husband in or Mo, I guess his name is, in prison. I'm surprised. I was actually surprised that she's like not necessarily standing by her man, but like bringing her kids to prison to visit him.
Yeah.
But we see he's dressed up in a dress and has a wig on, so he is someone's bitch. In prison, I guess is what they're applying there or implying there.
Yeah.
So he's like, man, it's terrible in here, but you know, I got to do what I got to do. And she's like, well, why did you do what you did? And he basically explains what we said. Like, there's someone named Terry. Is it Terry or Tony?
Troy.
Troy is a T name. I know it was a T name. There was someone named Troy who, like, first it was just he got a hold of me and it was like just nude pics of, you know, normal people or whatever, and then it just escalated to this crazy downward spiral of the worst things you could ever see on the internet. And so yeah, he's like, you know, I obviously I did it, but there's something weird with this guy. And then they leave, and she's like, you know, she's like, you know, I guess you did it though, so you have to be here. And then we cut to weeks later, and we see she is now like basically, I guess I don't know what like. She's doing sex work for rent, but only with the guy. So I don't know what that's called. But he's like ramping it up though. He's like, you know, I got this new movie. I want to try some really hardcore stuff today, and he wants to get pegged. That is how this relationship goes. And then after that, he's like, I'm kind of bored with you. After she pegs him, I guess there's nothing more than they could actually do. And she's like, well, there's got to be something. Like, I'll do anything. And he's like, anything? And then he like opens the door to look at her kids, and he's like, what if we invite them in? And then and I was like, oh shit, he's gonna like go really far here. But he actually pulled it back. She beats him over the head with the dildo that she just fucked him with, and she kills him.
Yeah, she beats him the fuck out of him with that dildo.
Yeah, it's like what's that? Is it Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, where it's like he beat the man to death with an 18-inch black rubber cock. Like that. Yeah, it's basically that, except it's a white rubber cock. And then she like brains him, like his brains literally come out of his head. And then they have to like bury him in the backyard. And then as they just finished that, like the next day, they're standing by the wheelbarrow with dirt, and the kids helped bury this guy, I guess. And the penguin mailman is like, hey, I notice that you haven't had such troubles. You haven't had to worry about your rent for a while. And she's like, oh yeah, I got that all figured out. And then he's like, well, that's interesting, because your landlord went missing yesterday, and the wife's pretty freaked out. And she's like, oh my God. And he's like, and I see you have a big pile of dirt in your yard, and did you kill him? Well, he puts it together right away, and she's like, no, you can't tell anybody. And so he says like, oh, we all kind of know about your deal that you had with him, so you know what, why don't you just do that deal with me?
Yeah, I'm sure we can work this out.
Yeah, and I'll keep it on the down low. So so she's like, okay, I guess so. But it's like, it's definitely like tongue in cheek, because she looks at us, the audience, and is like, holy Hannah, talk about out of the frying pan and into the fire. Like it's like a wah wah, like, I don't know. Like, holy, what is it? What do they say in Scooby-Doo? Like, jinkies. Like,
Jinkies,
yeah. Like, zoink scoop. Like, it's just ridiculous.
And that's true. That's a very running theme in this comic, is like every time something really ups the ante, someone looks at the audience and is like, whoa, can't believe this is happening.
Yeah.
Whackity schmackity do.
Yeah, it's very zany, on purpose. I mean, it definitely does like break the tension of these fucked up moments. And also, it's hard to keep we didn't say this, but it's really hard to take it seriously, which is actually good, because the art is super cartoony. Like, just very, actually, it's cartoony, but it's not like well done cartoon. It's like shitty versions of Hanna-Barbera cartoons, or characters. So now, this is something, I haven't watched this show very much, but there was a bit of Twin Peaks. Now, my wife loves the show Twin Peaks, but at the end of this issue, we see the Penguin come back from, I guess, having gotten a hand job from the wife, and he's like in his house, and he's like, haha. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He goes into her house, and she's giving him a blowjob. And he's looking at himself in the mirror as she's blowing him. And in the mirror, we see, what's his name?
Troy, I guess.
Troy. Yes, it is Troy. It is a human man. But it's the man that we saw earlier who the Mo, her husband, said was named Troy, who was sending all this pornography. So it's revealed that he is this guy, and we don't know what it means. In the mirror is a human face. And one of the interesting things about this comic is it's all cartoony, except anything that's in human or has to do with like reality is actually like a photo of a person that has a weird like filter on it. And so, yeah, like this penguin somehow is able to be an animated character, but inside he is this weird child pornographer, I guess, or person that's corrupting these cartoons. And this reminded me, have you seen Twin Peaks, John?
No, I have not seen
Okay. Well, I don't want to spoil it. I'll vaguely talk about it. But so in Twin Peaks, there is a killer who has killed a girl in this town, or a young woman in this town. And they don't, you don't know who it is, but then when it's revealed who the guy is, or the person is, it's like that person, is like a person we've seen throughout the whole show, and then he looks in a mirror and it's like the killer, and I'm like, oh my God, it's that guy. So it's very like, wow, I didn't see that coming, because why would you? Because it's like it's internally that guy or whatever. So yeah, is very, very like interesting ending. What do you think about that ending?
Yeah, I definitely was like, oh crap, like, so now there's like some weird extra element here that we don't know. Like, is this like a supernatural thing, or is this like what does this mean?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it definitely, and again, was like, whoa, that took me back a little.
It was a good way to end issue 1 like on a good cliffhanger, because if you weren't interested with the main story, because you're like, this is just too edgelordy, then you're like, wait, what's going on? Like, it automatically catches your attention and kind of makes you want to go to issue 2. So issue 2 starts with one of my favorite named characters of all time. He is based on the Hanna-Barbera cartoon Snagglepuss. So it's like a cat that's blue. And in this, his name is Pussy Whisker, which makes me laugh every time I read it, because I don't know, I'm a child, I guess, but I think it's because that character, it looks a lot like that character. Like, they did a pretty good rendition of him, and then just the name fits or whatever, like, it's just, yeah. I don't know. What'd you think of that character?
Yeah, especially for his like as like kind of wimpy and ridiculous that the more and more this character gets, like it definitely gives that like feeling to it. So
yeah,
so like that being the character's name, yeah, it definitely makes it fit.
Yeah. So Pussy Whisker is a failed actor. We find out later that he's like a real failed actor. Like he used to be like, I don't know, Brad Pitt or something. And then he has failed down to community theater. But he's all, and then now he's like just a clown on stage at birthday parties and stuff. So like, it's ridiculous how far he's fallen. Then we see, we cut to, outside somewhere, and there's like an alligator going to a doctor. It's like I guess a gynecologist or whatever. It's the town doctor. He's the doctor for every scenario. So it's not just gynecology, but, she's going to him because, she wants to, or she's like trying to figure out what to do about her kid, right?
Yeah, she has so her name is Sally Gator, and her daughter Alligator is 10, but she's like selling like hardcore drugs to kids at school, and is like just a menace.
Yeah, and she's like, I don't know what to do. Like, can we get her on meds or something? And he's like, I think the best thing to do would be to have to get an abortion. And she's like, wait, aren't we past that point? She's 10. And he's like, well, I mean, if you think about it, we could just do like I don't remember how many weeks it was, but it was like,
yeah, it was like 1700 and
1700 week fetal abortion, because that's how old she is or whatever. So, like basically he tells her like, we'll murder your child for you. Don't worry about it. And at first she's not on board, but he's like, well, think about it. Like you could have, a second honeymoon, and then you could have a better kid when that one's dead. And so she gets talked into it. In the meantime, when she was outside, she gets yelled at by this little duck who's like, you fucking fuck you, you fat piece of shit. And he's just saying mean things to everybody. Just the most vile things you could say to someone. He's yelling at like some old lady that looks like Mr. Magoo, but within a wig. And, he's telling her to fuck off, and I hope you have AIDS and all this stuff. And like, I thought this was hilarious, but later on we find out at the end of this issue that duck, it's almost like Speed or something, but he has been told by someone, if you don't treat everybody terribly, like say the most vile things all day long to everybody you meet, I'm going to shoot you in the head. Like I have a sniper following you all day long. So he's doing this because he doesn't want to die, but no one knows that. Everybody's just like, wow, this kid's a piece of shit now. Like I thought he was a nice little boy, but now he's like calling everybody horrible things. So, in the meantime, one of the people that's is standing nearby is on the phone, and we find out he's talking to Betty, or is it Birdseed Betty, right?
Birdseed Betty, yeah, that's her. Yeah, the
mom, the crow mom. And he's like, hey, I heard you like you're doing tricks now. Is that right? And she's like, yeah. And, he's like, well, I really want someone to like not have sex with, but like, I just want you to be like pretend we have a bad marriage. So like, can you come home and then like be mad at me, and I like be mad at you and don't do any chores around the house, and you tell me I'm a horrible husband, and then you go to bed angry and I sleep on the couch? And she's like, yeah, I think I could do that. And he's like, perfect. So like I like how he's like, I got a really weird kink for you. And she's like, I've done the worst things you could think of, so this couldn't be any worse than that. And that's his kink. He just wants like a bad marriage scenario. So which you said you laughed out loud about that one, right?
Yeah, that was one of the things that did make me laugh out loud. Is like, yeah, this I think he's the lawyer, Legal Beagle, and he's like, yeah, I don't, this is really weird request. He's like, I double, triple, whatever it costs. I really feel like this would be good for me. And it's just he wants to been like he's been in a bad marriage for 30 years, and like they basically hate each other and sleep in separate beds.
Yeah,
yeah. So I was like, I was pretty funny. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did too. So then we cut back to Mo in prison, and he's getting interrogated by the police, which I was like, why would they interrogate him now? But I guess they want him to spill the beans about Troy Hicks and who this guy is. And he's like, well, I first heard about him through this, the internet. Like, I got an email, but supposedly at this address, something bad went down. So you have to go there and see what's in the basement. So he gives them this address, and they're like, okay, I guess we'll check that out. Then we cut back to the chicken, who's being mean to everybody and calling them foul names. And this was the part that made me laugh, actually. He's yelling at this hippopotamus, I think, and it's going to beat him up. And he looks very sad for a second, and he holds up a sign that he wrote, and he says, because there's a penguin with a rifle aimed directly at my head, and if I'm not rude to everyone I meet, he's going to pull the trigger. So like, it's just like, that made me laugh because I did not see that coming. I just thought he was a rude chicken or whatever. So, did you have any thoughts about that?
Oh yeah, no, I thought that was really good. Like, I didn't see that coming out of nowhere. So, oh God, yeah, please help me.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't hurt me. I have to do this. Yeah, it was fun. It also made me think of the Simpsons episode where it's like there's a little boy that, where Bart can hear what everybody's thinking or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Got a kidding happy thought. So
yeah,
it was funny. I enjoyed that.
Well, that's a Twilight Zone episode, but yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so one of the things I thought was funny about this too is as the chicken's walking away and the hippopotamus is reading a newspaper, on the newspaper it says Speedy Mex Mouse in steroid shocker. So I assume they're talking about Speedy Gonzalez and he gets caught with steroids. That made me laugh as well, as like an article in a newspaper. So yeah, then we see the scenario that this dog wanted Miss Crow to play out, where she's just in a bad marriage with him, and we see what that entails. And he's like happy as ever to be in this, to pay for some lady to treat him like shit, and him also to treat her like shit. So I guess that's going well. And then we cut to the 1700-month abortion, where the alligator is trying to sell crack to a kid, and we see a freelance abortion van pull up and net this teenage crocodile, or a 10-year-old crocodile, and get taken in, I guess, to get murdered. But aborted is the word they're using. And then we cut to the police, who are now looking into that address from earlier, and that Mo gave them, and they actually did find a hidden staircase behind a bookshelf, and they're like, wait, what? We didn't think we would find that. And then they go down in the basement, and there's some kind of Ouija board on this table, and they're like, what the hell is this? And then as they're looking at that, they get a call, and the call says, there's another dead kid, and it turns out it's the chicken. Chicken got shot, I guess. Maybe the sniper that was following him saw him hold up those cards that said, I have to be mean to everybody. Please don't beat me up. So he gets shot in the head. And then then we cut to, I guess, the guy that shot him, and we see the penguin, the mailman, in his house, and he lives with that, I guess, he rents a room from that Miss Magoo lady, the lady that looks like Mr. Magoo. And he's like oiling his gun, I guess, to like wipe it down. And we see him looking, I don't know if she sees him the way he is, but he looks like Troy when she looks toward, oh no, he's looking in a mirror, I guess. He's looking in a mirror in his room, and we see his Troy again. He's holding the gun. And so we're like, okay, like it is for sure. This postman somehow is Troy Hicks, the guy that the Crow says, got him into horrible things. And so that's the end of issue 2. And it just keeps escalating. It just goes more and more and more. Issue 3 starts with the torrid story of Pussy Whisker, that's where we find out like he went from best actor ever to children's birthday party guy. And then the penguin, the mailman, gives him a letter that says, he already read it. He's like, sorry to tell you this, but Doc says you got testicular cancer. So I guess your dreams are going to be smashed. Because at first, Pussy Whisker's like, you know what? I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to get back to the top. And he's like, well, before you do that, you should read this letter about you getting testicular cancer.
Yeah, the Penguin opens everybody's mail and is like, oh, here, that sucks about, like, he with Betty, he's like, oh, it sucks about your house. And I see that your bills are piling up and you owe this. And, oh, sorry about your testicular cancer.
Yeah. And then, so the mailman, the male penguin, happens to go by the local donut shop where the cops are, of course. And there's been another kitty murder. And I thought they were talking about, the chicken that we just saw at the end of the last issue, but actually, Mrs. Crow, one of her kids got killed as well. And so just off comic, one of her kids died. So she's not only had her husband go to prison, one of her 3 kids has died. It's very sad. And yeah, it's just like, that's where we're left with that. Then we cut to Miss Crow the next day, and she's at the doctor's, and she's super depressed, thinking about her kid that just got killed. And this is where she's like on happy pills, but it's not really doing it for her. And the doctor just always looks like he's scheming, which we find out later he is, because like he gives her like pills. He's like, I'll give you some more pills, just keep coming back. And then we see like his nurse counting money, like, oh yeah, they're just giving her pills that aren't working to get money, kind of thing. And then we see Pussy Whisker at the doctor, and he's got his testicular cancer surgery today, I guess. And the doctor is telling him he's got to remove everything, not just one testicle. He's got to remove both testicles. I even think he says everything, like wiener too. And he says, you take your wee and your ball sack away. But I thought this was funny. He is, as like I want to say Snagglepuss, but Pussy Whisker's girlfriend is in the room with him, and she's like, but we wanted to have kids, and what are we going to do? And Pussy Whisker's like, I don't know. And, it seems like it's going to be a problem in their marriage. But the doctor's reading a book that's called How to Remove Cancerous Testicles. So I thought that was funny. Because, yeah, I don't know. It was just like ridiculous. But did you have any thoughts? I mean, like this scene is crazy.
Yeah, there's just so much going on. Like the fact that, like they're like, oh, there's something that's going on where she wants a kid. It's like, I'm sure that's going to be horrible.
Oh, yeah, we know that's going to come up later.
Yeah, he's already at the bottom of his, bottom of his barrel or whatever at this point. So, it's just over the top. And that doctor, like everybody in town, he always seems like, he's. Well, I mean, even he's like demented doctor. What is the doctor's office?
I don't know.
There's definitely something nefarious going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's got, I don't know, he looks like an old school doctor with one of those weird like mirrors on his head and stuff. So, yeah. Then we cut to the funeral of the Crow child, and we see the dad, Mo, was let out for the day to be at the funeral with the wife. We even get, like, while that's going on, there's like a weird scene where like the penguin, who we know is like this weird human child pornographer in his body, is like taking a child who wanted to be at the funeral because he was friends with the child Crow. He's taking him through the woods like he's gonna, I don't know, murder him or whatever. This never comes back though, so I think it's just, he's committing horrible crimes.
Showing that he is that guy, basically.
Yeah. And then we cut back to Pussy Whisker, who is, it just makes me laugh every time I say, who's like trying to console his wife. I thought this line was funny. He's like, maybe we shouldn't have decorated the baby's room like the second we got back from our honeymoon, because they're like newly married. So they like have a whole nursery set up, and it's only been like a week since they've been married. So I thought that was a funny line. But she needs it. She needs a kid, and she's like, the only thing that is gonna help is if you get someone else here to fuck me to get me pregnant. So he does that. He goes down to a bar and he finds a virile looking dog and tells him, hey, I want you to come fuck my wife. And the dog's like, okay. So then he's sitting outside hearing this dog fuck his wife, and she still doesn't get pregnant. And she's like, what? I told you to bring a virile guy. This, I'm not pregnant still. What's the problem? And so he just goes every night, finds new guys, and keeps, having his wife have sex with them. And then we find out, that was what it was. Okay, so this was the thing. I told John there was a thing about this next part that I was like, wait, doesn't that cancel out? But either way, so she's like, I'm tired of this. Either you get me pregnant or I'm leaving at the end of the month. And he's like, please, you got to stay with me. And then we cut to the doctor, who has a jar full of testicles on his desk, and he's on the phone with another crazy doctor. And it turns out they both had a bet. This was very much like a trading places bet, where it's like who could get the most testicles from the people in their towns bet. And so it turns out Pussy Whisker did not have testicular cancer. It was just all part of this bet for these two doctors that didn't care about the patients. Then this is what was a little confusing is, we see Pussy Whisker being like, I'm going to find people. Hopefully, some of these people will finally be able to get you pregnant. And she's like, okay. And as he leaves, she says, well, I'm still on the pill, so I'm just having a grand old time. So basically she has been having him get people to fuck her, but she's not trying to get pregnant from anybody.
Yeah, she's been lying this whole time.
Right. But even if she wasn't, everybody's got testicles missing. So that was what I was like, wait, so it cancels out kind of it could have been either or in my mind.
Yeah, they could have gone with one, but I guess they wanted to give the doctor an extra, he's creepy and doing, like you said, nefarious things.
Yeah. Extra evil. Then we cut to the local police station at night, and we see one of the cops who had found the Ouija board and was on the trail of Troy Hicks is looking into. And I don't know how the internet works in this world. The internet is working for reality. He's finding articles about reality, which is this guy named Troy Hicks is going to be executed for having being a child serial killer / pornographer. And it turns out, he was in his prison and he knows it's something to do on the night of his execution. Or actually I should say, it turns out that this Hicks guy was the creator of a serialized comic strip called The Funnies. And basically we find out that, he did some kind of black magic, I'm assuming with the Ouija board, and was able to transfer his soul into the Penguin of his own comic book, The Funnies.
Some occult bloodletting voodoo stuff.
Yes, and from that, him corrupting this world is what made everybody it was a nice place before he did this black magic and swapped consciousnesses with the Penguin, and ever since then, it's gone to hell, right? That's why everybody's in such a terrible shape, which I thought was a kind of interesting twist, personally. I don't know. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, that was the first time I was like, okay, I'm waiting for the whatever this excess is of how this person got into this comic world, because that's again, it's just ridiculous, over the top, edgelordy stuff in my eye for the most part of it. So I'm like, what is the overall factor that's driving this? Where are we going to get this the backstory of Troy and whatever is going on here? And so yeah, he the occult and obviously he's bringing that into this world. And I do like that some of the stuff that we learned, it's how this sweet cartoon world got turned upside down.
Yeah, it's almost like the tree of knowledge of good and evil or whatever, where it's once this cartoon character saw a boob or whatever, a picture of a boob, and then you got it just escalates from there. Once he knows about pornography, regular pornography, it's well, how far does this go? And I gotta up the ante every time and all this stuff. So it's like a corrupting effect on everybody, which is crazy. It spirals out from him. And so the cop puts two and two together and realizes that the post penguin is Troy Hicks. So they figure out that he's like hiding out at some weird church. So they go there and we see the penguin dressed up in like a devil's outfit, like a traditional one with like a pitchfork and a tail, and it looks like a costume, not like he is the devil, but and he's got like blood on the door and an upside down cross and all this stuff. So I guess that's why he needed that kid, right? He killed the kid to do the ceremony or whatever that he's trying to do. And yeah, so then issue 4 starts with the Crow mom visiting prison and telling Mr. Crow that she's not gonna be with him anymore. She wants a divorce and she's found God. And yeah, that's it. She's leaving him. And he's like, please, you gotta like go, don't do this. And because like, what else am I gonna have? I'm gonna be sodomized every night, like all this stuff. And I at least I had looking forward to you. But she says, you know what? Just tell him you have AIDS. If you have AIDS, like no one will want to fuck you. And he's like, oh my God, that's genius. And so
what
like,
a great
he's
idea.
happy. Yeah. He's like, oh, you know what? That's a great idea. Thanks. Anyway, have a good life. Now that everybody thinks I have AIDS, it'll be fine. So he's like literally skipping away. Then we come back to the church where we see the penguin in the devil suit is like, I guess he's done some kind of magic spell because he's basically like Neo in the Matrix now, because he tells the cops to shoot him. They do. And he stops the bullets midair and they fall to the ground. And this is where, he like kind of unveils everything about his master plan. Yeah. Oh, and then like a crazy part that I thought like, wow, this is just getting crazier and crazier. So we cut back to the Mama Crow, and she of course is still sad, but she's like, okay, well now I have God to depend on. And she's been praying and I don't know if she's praying that like, I don't think she's praying that like the kid will come back or something, but just like, that he's in heaven or whatever. And as she's talking to her kids about God and how great it's going to be, they're going to move to California, and some guy sent her $1 million because she was praying for it and stuff. She gets there's a ring at the doorbell, and she opens it, and it's her son that died, and he's like, no, see, Mom, they found a mutilated kid, but it wasn't me. I was just like away, like I was just, I guess, being held. It was a misunderstanding. That's it. Like there's no real explanation other than, yay, the kid didn't die. He's alive. So,
and obviously, I guess it had to be that the other kid that he took into the forest.
Yes, I guess. Yeah, but I mean that was later, wasn't it?
No, they died. They died around the same time. It was the
because at the funeral, they were at his funeral when they cut to him
right.
walking. The kid was supposed to go to the funeral.
Then it was another kid.
Yeah, whatever. We don't know. Continuity doesn't really matter in this, other than the Troy Hicks story. So, we get the whole flashback about Troy Hicks now, where the Penguin is explaining to the police how all this happened. We already told you where he did some black magic and was able to transfer his soul and consciousness into this penguin, and that means that the penguin who was here originally went to death row. So he got murdered in prison as in this human's body, which is pretty fucked up. He also now has like Neo powers, and he makes all the cops melt in front of them, and then he uses one of them in a crazy sacrifice. It just goes so crazy. And then I don't know if this is part of the sacrifice or like why he's doing this spell, other than just to make things go crazy. But as the Crow family is driving out of town, they're going to go to California. It's going to be great now that they're a full family. A anvil falls from the sky. I guess it is the penguin, because it says compliments of Frosty Pete on top of it. So I guess this was just part of it. Like now he's going to have full control of everything that happens in this world, this comic book world. And then one of the last kind of things that happens to this Crow family is, we cut to the dad and he's all happy because he's figured it out. He's found the loophole. If everybody thinks he has AIDS, no one's going to rape him. But then he gets a new cellmate who is, I think it's the same dog that had sex with Pussy Whisker's wife the first time.
Yeah, I think so. It looks like him.
And he's in prison now, and the bird's like, hey, and he's like, I'm going to fuck you. And he's like, you might not want it because I have AIDS. And the dog says, well, I do too, so it doesn't matter to me. And then Mr. Crow looks at us and says, well, I never expected that one, readers. And this made me laugh because also, doesn't that mean that like Pussy Whisker's wife has AIDS too, and possibly everybody she's fucking? So it's just like, potentially, they never say that, but potentially it's a thing. Then we cut back to the Penguin, who has now burned the church to the ground. I'm assuming he is all powerful now in this world, as the Penguin, and he sees Mrs. Alligator walking with her new baby, and she's like, he's so much nicer than the last one. I'm glad I had that, 1700 week abortion or whatever it was. And then she's like, oh man, we wanted to go on a date tonight, but my husband or the babysitter canceled. And then the Penguin says, oh, well, don't worry, I'll watch your new baby.
Yeah.
And, yeah. What could go wrong? And she's like, oh, thank you so much. So he takes the baby away, I guess to watch it while she goes on a date. And then we get like the real cut. We get a cut back to the real world, the night that Troy Hicks was getting executed, and one of the guards is yelling at him and saying, like, stop fucking telling us that penguins eat raw fish. You're eating what we give you, and stop speaking in that weird Mel Blanc voice, like the Bugs Bunny voice, and like, just, you think that because you're gonna like start acting crazy now in like your last couple weeks that we won't kill you? Like, too late, buddy, too late. And so basically, the cute penguin from the comic gets executed as this child murderer / pedophile. And
the Mel Blanc line made me laugh because I was like, oh, there's this guy that's like, hey guys, let me out of here.
Yeah. And then we see, Troy Hicks terrified on his bunk, sucking his thumb, saying, holy Hannah, because, he's a cartoon character inside. And then we get like this overlay of the ghostly figure of the Penguin smiling evilly. And that is the end, everybody, of the worst comic, or one of the worst comics ever, according to Reddit. So, John, what would you give it, and what do you think?
I think I'm on Reddit's side on this one. Like, I get some of the things that was going for, but this did not hit it for me. This is like a comic version of Requiem for a Dream. It's like, I read it once. It was interesting, and like, I definitely got parts of the story.
Oh,
like,
how dare
like,
you? That movie is not bad.
I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying like, once you watch it once, like, you don't ever need to watch it again. Like, that's one that like, I've only watched that movie. Maybe I watched it twice, but like, I remember it very vividly. I never need to go back to that one.
That's why you like never did drugs, huh?
You need to go back to. Yeah, no, I never did drugs because of that movie, probably somewhere deep down. And so like, I don't know. This was like I don't know, just a little too over the top for me. With it, I enjoyed parts of it. I liked the weird, like, natural, like the not pixelate, but you said like a weird filter over like the real human character pieces they showed, or the like the jails and the church and stuff. Like, that was kind of a nice interlay over the art that, again, I get what they're going for. But it's still very, bland and like very pale colors for this cartoon world. And I guess that also could show like that it was like being drained of its life because it had all of these horrible things enter from the real world. And like you said, the like, oh man, once the one little porn thing gets in, then like it just opens up the like, well, what else is there? And so I get it. Like I said, it was a, an interesting tale, and having like the weird like occult voodoo like way that he transferred himself in is it's fun. But it didn't hit me as like, oh man, yeah, this was a decent comic or a fun comic. It was like, oh, okay, well, I read it. It was all right. It had some funny moments. I laughed. It had some uncomfortable moments, which obviously that was what it's going for, being the cartooniness of it. But it did hit me as well. But thinking back on it, and having a conversation with you brings it up for me a bit. I didn't, after reading it the first time, I was probably like, this is like a 1. But like I said, I get what it's going for. In general, I like Mark Millar, and I liked elements of the story. So I would say I would give it a 3.
A 3. Okay, cool. I am not on Reddit's side on this. I laughed out loud a bunch reading this. I just went with it. Like, once I realized at the beginning, like, where it was going, I'm like, all right, we're on a ride. Like, and also I was like, this is Meet the Feebles. And also I'm like, I'm a fan of trying to find like the most fucked up movies you could watch and watch them.
That is so true.
Just to see, so that's one of my jams that like is not fun to me, but like, I don't know. I like to see how far people can push things, and maybe it's not successful, but maybe there are things in it that I think could have been successful. And I don't know, this one definitely to me wasn't a bad comic. A bad comic to me is it's boring and just like, I don't want to read it. And the weird mystery of like, who is Troy Hicks, and the whole like separate worlds merging, Twin Peaks style, like this is the bad guy, but he's inside of another guy. And that, I liked that. I was like down with that story. So would I recommend this to anyone? Fuck no. But like, unless they're like me, which is like, what's the most fucked up comic you've ever read? And I'm like, this one. But I realized that, like, much like most of my friends and people I know, I'm not going to recommend them to watch Serbian film or something I've seen, because that's not what they want. Like, a normie's idea of a fucked up comic or movie is, oh my God, they showed a guy's head exploding. Like, The Boys is too much for most people. This is way over The Boys. Maybe not like art's graphicness, but it's because it's cartoony, but just the concepts and subject material in this is way beyond most people's purview of wanting to read for enjoyment. But I like seeing people push the boundaries, and I give them props for that, knowing that at the same time, Civil War and all of his Marvel work was coming out makes me laugh very hard. It kind of warms the cockles of my soul, So this is I'm not going to give it like an amazing score. I'm going to give it a 5. I think I had a fun time. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody who's not just like, let's fucking go, let's see what the craziest comic out there is. But I definitely wouldn't put it on a list of worst comics ever. I've definitely read worse comics than this, some of which are on the list for the voting. I haven't read them, but I know what they are. I am not looking forward to at least 2 of these, I think, if you guys vote for them. But yeah, like, I can definitely think of worse comics. Like I said, boring comics to me are way worse than this.
I agree with that. I think, this having an actual like interesting plot to it, and like, with moments that actually make you gasp or make you laugh, like that's way better than the sitting through and being like, when is this going to fucking get good? Or when is this going to happen in this story? Any kind of media, I think the outlandish and shock value trumps any kind of monotonous, boring, and like pointless story, I think, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like, watching 80s movies, like 80s horror movies, and the ones that stand out, like Reanimator or something, or Videodrome, you're like, is it the best movie ever? No. Am I going to show my mom it? No. but like, boy, was I like, what the fuck when I watched it, like, and that's kind of like the fun of it with me for this story was like, I had no idea what the fuck was going to happen. Some of it was telegraphed. Like, I knew, like Pussy Whisker's wife is going to be like, I'm going to fuck, everybody else, I could see that coming, but, there's a lot I didn't see coming, and it's always fun when you can get surprised by something because you're like, I have no idea what's going to happen. I did not see the like soul switching penguin being the murderer, but because it's like the consciousness of a real world serial murderer and child pornographer like that. Yeah. I did not see that happening. So I give it kudos for that. It was not... I do not think it should be on the list of worst comics of all time. But it definitely wouldn't be on the list of comics I would recommend to anybody. So, but I think it has a value. I think this should be like, it should be in someone's list of comics that they like to read, Not mine or yours, but but I will say like, if someone asked about it, I would go to bat for this. If someone was like, oh, this is terrible, I'm like, you haven't read it. You're just either you have read it and it's not your thing and you're just like, I didn't like it, or you just haven't read it and you're just going by what everybody says on the internet. So that's my opinion, of course, but a lot of that happens though with like bad books in quotation marks on the internet.
Yeah. Well, and I'll stick by you with that too, because besides everybody having their preferences, I'd rather try things than just like automatic, like unless it's something that like is like hurting someone or that is like I've heard outrightly is like being mean or terrible about someone or calling people names or racist or anything like that. That's different. But like if it's something that's just like,
well, I can't think of a comic that's doing that, right? Like that doesn't exist as far as I know.
Yeah. And so, if I will go out of my way to, like if everybody's saying it sucks, but they're saying it sucks because they, like, oh, it's a dumb plot or it's a dumb this, or like, we've seen that 100 times. I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, but that doesn't mean there can't be good qualities about it or that can't be redeemable. Maybe you miss something. Maybe it's something I would like. Maybe
well, I'm saying no one has said that about this. No one said I've seen that 100 times.
Nope, that's true.
If anything, I would say that about actual bad comics is, I've literally seen this story 1 billion times. It's just packaged differently in this scenario, but this is a fully unique work of art. And on that merit alone, I think it cannot be considered one of the worst comics ever. But that's just my opinion about artistic license and preferences or whatever. But yeah, so maybe you have a different opinion, listeners. But check it out. I will say that you can find the issues of this for fairly cheap because everybody hates it. So, or at least that's the around the water cooler talk about it. But so you can pretty much find these issues for I think like $3 a piece. They sold for $3.99 a piece when it came out, so that's even $1 off what they were. So I think I've seen them at the dollar bins or not the dollar bins, but the half price book bins. So you can get it for $2 there if you find them there. So
until Matt goes and gets his copies.
Yeah, you know what? I would definitely pick this up for $2 an issue. Because also, like, where is it ever going to come out again? Like, I'm never going to see this collection or something. It's one of those things that it's just going to be lost to history. And I definitely want to be the guy that's like, did you know that Mark Millar, the guy who wrote all these other comics you love, like Kick-Ass and Kingsman and, Civil War and all that, wrote this? Like, that is a fun thing to have in your back pocket, personally, I think. But...
no, that's true. Being able to especially when things get, more things get pulled because of this or that. Again, it's different if it's like actually hurting people, but if it's just like, oh, everybody hates on it, so like it gets pushed to the bottom of the bin and like kind of lost and forgotten. Like, yeah, that's cool to be like, well, actually, let me show you this how ridiculous and fucked up this is.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Me and you differ on that, I guess, because even if it's something that people say hurts people, like for instance, the Frank Miller book Holy Terror, which I believe is on our list, that, or maybe that's on a different list that I'm thinking of. I don't know. I had another list that was like, comics that aren't just the worst ever, but they're the most offensive ever.
Oh yeah, it's not on this list.
Okay, yeah. It's this book called Holy Terror that Frank Miller did. I'm like, do I think he should have written it? And like, what was it the best career move? No, but like, I don't know. Like, it's words on a page with pictures. Like, personally, I don't think. Like, once again, I think words on a page. It's not physical violence, so that's a different level. Like, should it be banned? No, I don't think so. I don't think anything that's words pretty much should be banned. So, but that's like a different, political stance or whatever. But yeah, like this should. I like the fact that this exists in the world. The Unfunnies or the Unfunnies, and that like we could talk about it and yeah, but we had to go to a site of ill repute, we'll call it, for to read it. So the only way, other than finding the back issues like in a back issue bin, to read it that I could find was on one of those sites on the internet that you're not supposed to be able to read stuff for free on. So with that being said, we don't condone that unless it's something that's completely out of print and not able to find. So if I had been able to buy it, I would have bought it. So
that's true. That's what I think. The only other one I can think of offhand when we read Men in Black, it's like I can't, as popular as a
yeah, I'm not going to pay $100 to buy a back issue of it. So
yeah, exactly. As much as and again, like that's a popular release movie franchise that was spawned from that. The comic, yeah, not quite as good, but again, it's like why are people where are they sitting on? They make money, so
yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah, but anyway, so like we said, there's going to be a list of the other books that people have said are the worst comics ever for our patrons to vote on. And once again, thank you to our patrons: Hoku, Otaku, Mike, Christian, Matthew, Joseph, Kalia, Kevin, James, Craig, and Leroy. You guys are awesome. We love that you guys support us, and thank you very much. And you guys will get to vote on all of those. John, what are the ones they're voting on?
So our April's worst comics ever are Superman Grounded, All-Star Batman, Ultimates 3.
All-Star Batman and Robin.
All-Star Batman and Robin, pardon me. Ultimates 3, Justice League Cry for Justice, and Heroes in Crisis.
Yes. So I know at least one of those is by Tom King, and I am not a fan of Tom King. So if you guys want to vote for that and make me read something I will hate, I already know I will. You could do that to me if you want to be mean, but go with your heart on that one. But I will read it though. I will read it and rate it as fairly as possible. If I end up liking it, I will let you know, but I highly doubt that will happen. So anyway. So if you want to vote for that, you could become a patron. You could become a patron at patreon.com/Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word, and sign up there for any of the tiers, and you'll be able to vote. And with that being said, I think we'll see you guys on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye.